Ina.
Okay.
My dad is here. He's
Hello.
waiting in the wings very dramatically to appear like the stage.
Hello.
If I could just ask everybody to mute themselves, just so let me see. I actually have a setting here. Yeah, I can do this. Okay. Here it is. So thank you all again for oh, sorry, I didn't do it. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Where is Naina? Coast. Okay. So yes, again, thank you for being here. And it's a really fun opportunity to do this with my parents. I don't think we've ever done this before, even though I've been doing this Patreon group for almost, it's going to be 4 years in November. And I think quite a few of you have been in this group from that very beginning. And if not many of you for quite some time. So it's a first. And some of you sent in some questions for them. And also, you know, what during the time that we have together today we'll go a few minutes over because we started a little bit late. You know, if anything comes up, I'm sure some things will. Feel free to put it in the chat, or you can send a DM to me, or yeah, send a DM to me. That'll be the simplest thing. So maybe before we start doing questions and things like that, we can do a little bit of Kirtan together, and we'll close like that as well, hopefully, if we have time. So I'll grab the harmonium. Or do you want to play harmonium? Oh, there's space for you. Oh, glasses. Okay. I got the baby harmonium to facilitate space. Let's all do Om together 3 times, and I'll sing the invocation. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Vaishnavyadesha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Krishna think we could have done that the whole time. Thank you all for singing. Oops, where's my phone? Here it is. Well, we had a few questions that came in from some of you. I'm just going to pull up the just going to pull up the comments on this post. I wanted to bring my parents to come and speak here. Oh, so weird. Why is it gone? Oh, here it is. I wanted to bring them to come and speak with us, sort of as an experiment, because I think it would be nice to hear more from them in this group. Many times the voices that are the most heard on the sort of online spaces right now are relatively in the younger sphere, just because younger people are more connected with social media and technology, but then sometimes we lose the benefit of hearing from those who have experienced a lot and have a huge amount to share. So I've lost I've lost your questions. They're not coming up on this. Oh, here. Oh, no. I got it now. Okay, I got it. So there was different questions. Sanjeev said maybe hear from them first and go to questions. That's actually a nice suggestion. I don't know if there's anything you feel like sharing. They were kind of saying, just tell us what to do. Anything you want to share this morning? They've been in San Francisco, or where we live, for a few days, and we've been having some adventures.
I just want to thank all of you for being here present today. It makes me quite emotional to see all these beautiful faces on the screen, and just say a huge thank you for supporting Genevieve and what she's also trying to share with the world. And,
I didn't ask her to say that.
I know, but we've obviously supported her for so many years of her life, and it's just so beautiful to see this beautiful, embrace of lovely souls who also are, attuned to what we're trying to connect with, something deeper, something higher, something more beautiful.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much for whatever you do, being present here today and other times. So I just wanted to share that.
I would just like to say that there's immense benefits of those who are on the spiritual path connecting up with others. And although technology has its pitfalls, this is one way in which the new spirit world, the new enablement of technology can allow us to get the best of what human life is for, spiritual connection. So I give thanks. I give thanks for that.
Yeah, it's actually amazing how on this group, like I said, some have been a part of this group since November 2020, and at other points, and some people leave for a while and then come back and so on. But everyone's kind of all over the world, mostly Europe and the Americas, but also we have a few in India, and some who, it's the timing for the live sessions doesn't work out for them so well. But we're all in different places, but I think connected in a beautiful way. And I was saying to my dad, even though initially I started the Patreon sort of as a way of saying, well, I'm making spiritual music and sharing things, and anything artistic is notoriously not very financially sustainable. And so Patreon has been a platform that's primarily been, I think, used by a lot of creatives to try to supplement the work that they do. But very quickly, it kind of became like a little bhakti sangha, because I realized that people that were connecting with the music that I was sharing usually had either an existing connection or a desire to connect with something deeper spiritually. And so, we started to kind of make that a bit more yeah, clear in terms of the way we spend our time together. And now we've been meeting twice a month this year. For the first time, we're meeting twice a month. So yeah, maybe we'll ask some questions, because I think some other things will come up through that as well. There was a few questions which related to, you know, your choice in your life, making the choice to pursue this path. I think someone asked specifically, Celia, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, and I'm not sure if she is here, but she might be listening back to the recording. She's in Norway, and she was saying, you know, she's lives actually right next to a Krishna temple in Norway, and she's sort of interested, but she's struggling to overcome some resistance due to, in her words, she says, a strict dogmatic Christian upbringing, and any words of wisdom or advice. And there were a few questions like that about your path, how you chose. Maybe you can share a little bit just about your background and how that came to be a choice that you made, because it's been more than 50 years now, I think, for both of you, that you're following this path, which is a long time.
Right. Thank you so much for that question. I mean, for myself, um, from a young age, I had a desire to understand a little bit about who I was and what the purpose of life. I mean, the world was a much more peaceful place then. So, you know, today I would think lots more people would be like, oh, what's happening? Like the world is in such a crazy state. And then something came from within. And when I got to my teenage years, then I did also, you know, because I was raised in a Jewish tradition, and I even went to a Jewish school, like a immersion kind of, you know, religious school. But you know, there was joy there, but the answers weren't there for me. And so, and it was quite a closed sort of, you know, closed bubble. So I did start to read lots of different spiritual things. I mean, at that time, there were lots of spiritual seekers that were reading particular things at the time, Be Here Now. And we were just really trying to understand a little bit about life and the universe and our connection with something higher. So yeah, that led me to reading lots of different things, and the Bible, the prophet, so many different things were there. And eventually I decided to take a year out from my university studies and
Drop out.
not really drop out, but move on, move on to try and explore and, you know, seek some answers. And yeah, just meeting so many other people, so many other cultures. But when I'm from Canada originally, so when I never been to Europe, but when I got to Amsterdam, that was the first place, and I was given a Bhagavad Gita. So when I got that Bhagavad Gita, because previously with my own religion, you know, I had asked the rabbi, what happens at death? You know, what happens to death? I had some understanding of the soul. And he said, oh, if you ask 100 different rabbis, you'll get 100 different answers. And that really didn't resonate with me, because I thought, well, surely there's one answer. There's some truth, some higher absolute truth. So when I got the Bhagavad Gita and read it, it just really seemed to go deep in my heart and answered all my questions. And then I, you know, began to explore the path of bhakti. I went all the way to India overland. I was quite adventurous then, not so adventurous now. But yeah, and finally visited temples. So I would just say to who's the
Celia.
Celia, yeah, I never gave up anything on the way. I saw each each bit as a stepping stones. I've not given up my Judaism. I've not given up so many things. I think
What do you mean by that you haven't given it up? Because it's not still sort of a that the particular rituals
Yeah.
or, you know,
No,
going
not
to
the
synagogue are not
no.
part of your life. But
the,
what does
but
that mean for you?
the essence of it, you know, that's that kind of spiritual thread that runs through all the different faiths. And also it's just kind of a part of you, whatever your upbringing. Well, I had a positive experience, you know, in terms of my kind of family and you know, circles. So and when I say I've never given it up, it's always been a part of me. And I did learn lessons on the way, and I always try to see where there's a, you know, a direct link up. I know when I would go back to be with my family and we would be reading into the Old Testament, you know, the what we call the Torah. And I would say, oh, this is exactly what we believe, what I believe now. So I really saw the common thread. And I never, yeah, so that's just what I'd like to share with you. So you don't have to feel that you're, you know, kind of putting your Christianity, or that it's, I think Krishna conscious, you know, this path of bhakti, it enables all different kind of aspects of spirituality through there. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to give time for
Yeah.
my dear
Maybe-
husband to speak.
I was recently speaking at a conference of psychiatrists in London, and in contrast with many other psychiatrists, these were men and women who believed in something higher, higher power, God. They had different terms. But one of the psychiatrists was a confirmed Christian. And he asked me, he said, he said, you were raised as a Christian. When did you give up Christianity and take to bhakti? And I said, I didn't give up Christianity. So I'd like to echo what your mother said. I said, I told them, I said, I was a baptized Christian. I'm still a baptized Christian. At no point have I been asked to turn my back on anything. Rather, I've opened my arms to the universe, and the universe has given me enough for two arms to be filled. But I would say to Celia, who's living next door to a Krishna temple, the universe seems to be pointing you in a particular direction. You know, there's a story in the Bhagavad Purana where a young man asks the speaker of the Gita, Lord Krishna, he says, how do I receive direction? And Krishna begins by telling him that your own mind will be your first teacher. Your second teacher is the universe itself, because when you're seeking, the universe will unravel itself to make lessons known to you from wherever you are. He said, and then all of those lessons will become synthesized in the form of a teaching, which will become very evident to you. But particularly if you're from a religious background, it's good to remember that although there are things that perhaps are overstressed in different paths, we do things one element at a time. And I think that if you can suspend your judgment, which you know is based on perhaps what you brought with you from your childhood, which is traumatic, I know. But if you can not project the pain of your childhood onto the current situation, you may find that a barrier becomes dissolved, and gradually you'll find that things become agreeable to you. I think we have to be very kind to ourselves and understand the trauma that we've been through, and very understanding of the soul within who wants to find this path. So please don't let your mind get in the way of your soul's journey.
Thank you for the question, Cecilia.
I
Could you have
just
something
wanted to
yeah.
add one thing, that, you know, because she used the word dogmatic, that she, you know, you use the word dogmatic, and I would say the path of bhakti isn't dogmatic. Of course, there's ways we do things, and there's prayers that we sing, and there's you know, practice, but it's definitely not dogmatic. It's very broad and very encompassing of all faiths, and yeah.
I have one more thing.
Oh yeah.
We could go on this question.
But just in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 16, Krishna says that there's no possibility of becoming a yogi if one eats too much or doesn't eat enough, sleeps too much or doesn't sleep enough. So with this, he's saying yoga is possible for everyone, but what's overeating for me is going to be different from overeating for you. So one has to find the correct boundaries for oneself, and from one's own position enter into yoga.
So you're saying it's a very personal, it's a
Yeah.
personal exploration.
Yeah. And it says that the Vedas and the Upanishads are like a good doctor. You can go to them, and based on your disease, based on your discomfort, you'll find a remedy for you. Well, one remedy is not for everyone. There's a remedy for everyone, and that's where the doctor or the spiritual doctor or the mentor or the teacher comes in. Please give me some suggestions. And I would say it's first of all, know yourself, then know yoga, and then know what you can do to achieve yoga.
On that topic of personal journey and things not being dogmatic, Dee had asked a question about the Krishna movement, the Hare Krishna movement, or ISKCON, which you've been a part of for more than 50 years, as I said. She was saying, how have you observed that it has changed? There was a part 2 to her question over the years, but I was just thinking probably there were times where things could have seemed more dogmatic due to an immature sort of application of the teachings that were being received. But yeah, that's
of course, in the early days, it was either you joined the ashram, you were in an ashram, or you're living out. There was no living out. You were either in or out, because I think the movement, the institution was relatively young, well, very young at that point.
Everybody was pretty young.
Everyone was pretty young, and it was a kind of a real pioneering thing. And we were, on a mission to, help people to understand these teachings by distributing books and giving talks, and it was pretty full on. And maybe a little bit, extreme in the early days, but it changed so much over the years, and now most people aren't living in temples. Most people are like
99%
probably
people.
just living outside and incorporating the practice of bhakti yoga within their daily lives. And it is, I have to say, because I do say this to a lot of people that I speak to, young and old, that it is really not just beneficial, but really inspirational to spend a little time. I know Narayani's here and Martina, they've spent some time in the ashram. So even if you had a weekend retreat or a week or something, to actually have that early morning practice with others, it's absolutely beautiful. But most of us are, working or have so many things going on in our lives, and if we can learn how to have the balance of or not have the balance, but incorporate spirituality into our lives. So in that way, things have changed. We don't live in the ashram anymore, but our home is an ashram. Janavi's home here, so beautiful. We're so happy to be here in California with her for a few days, but her home is an ashram, and her husband now is doing
Kula's here too.
Yeah,
on the other side of the screen.
doing
He's
his
waving to everybody.
Yeah, so that's what I would say for that.
So you're saying that it's changed in terms of major changes being there in terms of maturity. Actually, she had said apart from numbers growing, apart from more members. It's been maturity, understanding that there are many different ways that people will practice and live.
Absolutely.
Anything to add to that?
Last night we were in San Francisco in a small, I always wanted to say that. Last night I was in San Francisco.
Sounds like the beginning of a song.
And it was the inauguration evening of a new small center, a place where people could gather.
Mm.
And I was reminded of St. Francis. The way of life of St. Francis is now available to everyone wherever you live. They have different orders, different sections. But in the very early days, to get something started, St. Francis had to separate himself from others in order to live the life. And it was a life of austerity and self-purification and denial of the world, and no shoes and very simple clothing. And he and his brothers lived like that in order to get things going. And then it spread all over the world. And I think to a certain extent, the life of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada mirrored that, in a sense that he had to do what he did for the time and to call people to live together. Now, living together with others is a good way of spiritual growth, but it can also be really annoying. It's really difficult. Anyone who's ever tried it. But we have to, echoing the advice of Lord Krishna in chapter 6, verse 16, we have to find ourselves perhaps not too far away from the fire that we get cold, but not too close to the fire that we get burned. We have to find a living situation that will give us the benefits of spiritual growth, which we get in a company of other people on the same path, but not too close that it becomes a disturbance. But in terms of changes from 50 years ago, certainly numbers, but the age range. I first became a monk when I was 17. Now I'm 67. And now the age range is completely represented from the earliest to the latest. So different ethnicities, different parts of the world, different cultural patterns that have been joined together in this wonderful Bhakti Yoga. I'd say the philosophy has been plumbed to a depth of detail that it was never before. We were quite literalists, quite fundamentalists, and now we've discovered something called nuance in the way to think about our spiritual commitment. So I say, let there be victory in your understanding of nuance. Relish it and work with it.
Yeah, and there's also so much more available now in terms of education. Our education was just, immersion education. And of course we had classes and kind of scriptural classes, Bhagavad Gita and that. But now there's so many beautiful courses available, both online and at our many of our centers. We're in London and we have the School of Bhakti. They offer so many courses. So there's beautiful programs of learning and there's I know some of you may be a part of other kinds of Sanga groups where you come together and learn
Wisdom of the Sages.
wisdom of the sages and things like where you can come together and learn and ask questions, and really, your growth is supported, and there's so much opportunity there. So yeah.
I was just thinking of a question myself. There's a few others that people sent. Actually, one person, I won't say who, sent a lot of questions, which were all wonderful. So I'm going to try and choose a couple of those. And feel free if you want to put things in the chat or send a direct message as well. I was just thinking that I'm assuming almost everybody that found their way to this group has a deep connection with music and maybe more broadly with art, because they found what I was doing, and out of many things that you could be connected to, you chose to also be here. And I was thinking to ask you what you have to say about music, art. How has that played a strong role in your spiritual journey, and personally, what's the resonance for you? And I don't know, it's just nice to hear. I mean, actually, I love to have that conversation with all of you over time. I know there's a few people, like Jay has a whole sound healing center with his wife in Ontario.
Oh, wow.
Anka is a beautiful artist. She's a
Yeah.
tattoo artist, but also a painter. And so there's artists and Vanita. We all know Vanita's a multi-talented artist. But everyone here is an appreciator of music and art forms. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to share on that.
Yeah, I think what's so wonderful about the path of bhakti is that you can use whatever moves you, whatever your passion is, both in arts. And I have a dear friend, we were with her yesterday, and she just loves flowers. And she said, this path of bhakti is so wonderful because it's given me the opportunity to just work with flowers all the time, you know, because she's you know, she introduced Genevieve to flower fairies. She's a big flower herself. So yeah, I mean, yesterday we also met somebody in San Francisco who conducts or manages a youth choir, community youth choir in San Francisco. And I was telling him how we've all always sung in our family. We've always sung together, isn't it? All different. I was saying, you know, Genevieve and my other children as well love music, and so we introduced them to all kinds of music. Remember, we used to dance to. So bhakti is just such a joyful thing. I think that is one of the things that attracts me, is that singing and dancing. And as our Guru Srila Prabhupada said, even a child can do it. So
do you remember your first time seeing or experiencing Kirtan? Any spiritual music?
Well, I first heard the Hare Krishna chanting on the streets, and I was a young girl. And I didn't really quite know what to make of it, but now I'm understanding that the power of that mantra actually moved my heart in a way that I didn't really understand or know at the time. And now today, when I listen to Kirtan and mantra meditation, it actually moves me to a place I'm like, okay, when I leave this world, I just want to be immersed in the sound of Kirtan. But yeah, so yeah, I think that's all I have to say on
All right.
that for now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, the whole expression of bhakti is one of using one's capability to try to connect with the supreme joy of the art of Krishna. Krishna, the name means the most attractive, of course. So if we say that God is an artist, we wouldn't be too far from the truth. And that our expression of art is an attempt to say something to make a connection. For myself, that I've always been interested in all expressions of art, whether it be dance, singing. I grew up singing.
What was your connection to dance? I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, well, my teacher at an early age, when I was 6 and 7, 8, was he was a person who was very much involved in the English country dance revival. Maybe I haven't told you.
Oh no, I think you have. Yeah.
And he was interested in singing English songs by Benjamin Britten. But so we part of a choir that he took to different parts of the county. But he also took us to English country dancing festivals. We had to learn how to express ourselves through dance. This is so important. I mean, philosophy is one thing. And philosophy is really helping us to understand why art works. But philosophy is not the experience of doing art or enjoying art. And these two things are separate. So bhakti is really an experience more than a philosophy. And you engage in it by doing it. I once had an amazing experience where it was just after doing a lot of Hare Krishna chanting, where I heard music, but the music was going on inside me. It was different types of, and I just closed my eyes and just enjoyed it. And it was the most wonderful experience. But I understood that above this world, where sometimes art is sometimes disjointed, and at best, we try to replicate perfection. But above us is a world of pure, joyful artistry, and we're trying to connect with that. That was my realization from that. I don't normally talk about that, but you asked the question.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that you know, music and art were not only had been a part of my childhood very much so, I think very much because of the path of bhakti, you know, because of the school I was going to and the community that's surrounded, but also because my parents are inspired very much by it themselves, and so we were never very far from doing something involving singing or dancing or
harmonizing together.
Yeah.
We're always
And
harmonizing.
it's worked very well for communicating ideas.
Yeah.
Musicians have been drawn to us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially when you tell a musician that the ultimate realization of spirituality can be achieved through music, they become very excited.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a scientific fact now about how music is so healing and produces all these endorphins and everything, but music combined with mantra is on another level, isn't it? So, yeah.
Time is flying and we will go a few minutes over, but I just saw a question coming from Rebecca, and I think she's here. I thought it was a beautiful question, and I know it will have resonance for some others in the group, probably everyone actually. She says that she is going through a heartbreaking time over the unexpected passing of her father, and really offer you our prayers and condolences on that experience and the loss of your father in your life. She said, I'm feeling so much love with the grief and both celebrating him as I mourn lost time with him. Death is also mentioned in these passages. She had put some quotes from the Bhagavad Gita. And I was wondering at this time of autumn if there is more your parents or you would have to share about honoring how to navigate with grace both the death of our loved ones and preparing for our own. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And, you know, whether we've lost a loved one recently, which some may have, or whether it was a long time ago, like my mom lost her mother when you were, what, 32 years old or something. And I always remember when we were growing up, whenever we would speak about her, she would often just tears would come, even though so many years had passed, because we still connect with the freshness of those emotions. Or if we haven't, then there's going to be a time in the future when we will. And like you said in the end of your question, and also our own passing, that's going to come at some point with certainty. So I think all of us, especially growing up in community, there's so many people that you know, and so the frequency of funerals and confronting death is it's very much a part of life. But I'll let you speak more to that. Maybe you speak first.
Yeah. It's sometimes we try to use philosophy to assuage our grief. Grief is something separate. Grief is something that we will all feel, and that will take its time. Sometimes philosophy, though, can come as a consolation, but it's not meant to remove grief. Grief is a natural response to the loss of a loved one. So that we must take time for that. And in that time, we must remember them and all that they gave us, all that they were to us, and all that we are today because of their love and their attention and their words upon us. The second aspect is the philosophical consideration spoken in the Bhagavad Gita that for the soul, for your father, there's no death. that he continues. That life is like a bird that flies in one window called birth and exits another window called death. Everything in between is what we call life. But the soul is the real thing, the real you. So your father continues, blessed by all the good deeds that he did during his life. And we take that with us. We take all the kindness, all the good words, all the consideration and compassion that we've ever given to another human being. We take that with us. And the next life begins almost immediately, like waking up from a sleep. And we take consolation from that after a few short weeks, months, your father will begin taking birth, ready to begin again and experience a whole new life. The third aspect is that there's things that we can do to transfer blessings to your father wherever he is. So there are a lot of more ceremonial things that we do, like lighting lamps, keeping water near a picture of your father, distributing food to the poor in his name, reciting his name. I give this food in the name of my father, mention his name. And other things are reading a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita every evening for the first, till you finish. Beginning with the words, I now read this chapter of the Bhagavad Gita for my father and name his full name, and concluding by saying, that was a reading of the Bhagavad Gita for my father. And other things we do is we bless our food by placing it in front of a picture of Krishna. And then we take that food and then we place it in front of a picture of our father, and then wait 5 minutes and take the food and then place it in the forest or a river, like that. So these are sort of ritualistic, ceremonial things, but they do help with the grief. Grief will be there. It's impossible to remove it, but it does help. Some practical considerations. And at any time, especially on the anniversary of his passing, you can do all of the above.
You want to share anything? Also,
You might want to move on to another question.
I just
Well,
would like to.
Okay, yeah, I just recently my sister was visiting me from Canada. She's not a bhakti practitioner, and she's really doesn't really understand her connection with God. She's just trying to understand. She's got stage 4 cancer, and I just at one point I just said to her, you know, one thing that I've really grateful for in all these years of my practice of bhakti and my understanding is my understanding of death, because it's the thing that everyone is most frightened of, and you know, from the moment that you're, you know, aware of death. My grandmother died when I was about 7 years old, and my parents didn't explain anything to me, like I didn't know anything. So I've seen so many of my dear friends pass gracefully from this world, and I've also been a part of beautiful memorials, as my husband was explaining, how we honor someone. And of course, even when my mother passed away, Genevieve was mentioning, for 10 years, whenever I spoke of her, because, you know, I would get emotional because that relationship is there, the love that you shared. But at the same time, my sisters and my brother, they responded in different ways, because for them that was it. But I had the understanding that for my mother it wasn't. Of course, I was lamenting for my loss, you know, that my loss, but I was not celebrating, but I felt more peaceful knowing that I wasn't the end for my mother, and the prayers that we can, all the prayers and the love and the remembrances, they really help to boost them on to the next chapter of their lives. But yeah, don't feel that you have to deny the grief. That goes on, and you do need to process that and just live with, you know.
Yeah, let it live
Yeah.
as it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Occasionally there may be remorse that you didn't spend enough time. There may also be guilt that you didn't spend enough time. I don't think anyone in modern times where we live some distance from each other, even from our own parents. We don't grow up in the same village and die in the same village. But I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have a twinge of guilt. But we also have to think that we are ultimately blessed with the company that we did have with them, by the gifts that they did give to us to make us the person that we are today. So although it's tempting to use grief into a place of remorse and guilt and perhaps even shame, it's better to keep the grief and the remorse separate if you can, and understand that these are circumstances, and much of the circumstances are beyond our control.
And we can't control, any of us, when our time will come. I say to my sister, well, you have stage 4 cancer, but I may go before you. None of us know. So everyone has a time that's already predestined by our karma and our relationship with God. Our time will come.
Thank you so much for the question, and we'll do a little kirtan before we finish, and we'd love to dedicate that for your father, and you could put his name in the chat, and also our dear Naina's father also passed away unexpectedly very recently, a few weeks ago. There are so many wonderful other questions that were shared.
Maybe we can
we
answer
can
after.
answer some after.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on just one before we chant a little bit to close. Maybe we can do this again sometime. Edward was asking about having a murti, or a deity of Krishna on the altar, and what can you do if you're not sort of like a committed practitioner. And just to that point, because you were speaking about having a picture and offering food and things like that, I thought to just, if you had any brief points. I mean, Edward, I think the simple answer is, you can do you can do what your heart inspires you to do. There's not like a strict rules around that. When you do sort of establish like a formal worship at home, there are some things that will be rules about cleanliness, or using this particular plate only for that, things like that. But there's a very easy and simple way to start. Maybe you can comment on that, in case anyone else would like to do that too.
In the scriptures of bhakti, I suppose you could say that the main rule is to begin, and you can only begin at the beginning. And the relationship that you have with that Supreme is your beginning. And as you progress, there will be a relationship that's developed between you and the Supreme, which is bhakti. And the revelations which come from that will enlighten you and illuminate you and help you understand what the next level is. There's always more, but the point is to begin. And the most important thing, I feel, is that the image that you have, whether it be a 2-dimensional picture or a 3-dimensional statue, can be placed in a clean place with a little platform before it, so that your food can be blessed. And that's the beginning. And apart from that, there's a million other considerations, but the main thing is to begin.
Thank you so much for that question, Edward. And we can definitely, I'll definitely share the rest of the questions with my parents, and as much as they would like to comment on or answer.
We'd love to comment on that. I was reading them. I want to answer that.
I'll just move this back a little bit. So let's do a few minutes of kirtan to close. I know a few people had to leave, but they would like to listen to this after. So if you do need to go, we understand, but we'll go a few minutes over just because we started a bit late. Sanjeev says, before we close, can you give your mom and dad a hug and receive one from them on our behalf? We'll do it at the end.
Now and at the end.
Yeah. And
The name of her father.
yeah, we will dedicate this to John Barber Gray and I think Nanak Ram Rakani. And yes, I want to also, there's a few questions, Jean. Thank you for your question here. I'm going to copy and paste it so that we can send you a message after as well. Let me just do that quickly. Okay. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Sankirtan ki jai. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Thank you, Sydney. It was really beautiful to be with you all, especially to see you on the camera. Thank you for keeping your cameras on, to all of you who were able to. And I really hope that my parents could come on again and share. There's so many things that I think, you know, for myself, sharing music in the way that I've been doing the music, because of, I think, the nature of what it is. I don't attribute that to myself, but I think the nature and the substance of what it is touches a very deep place, and people often express deep things to me or come with questions that are very deep, and I sometimes feel quite I feel like a child, you know. I feel like I'm not very equipped to always know how to respond, but that's why I always turn to my parents to ask, you know, their thoughts on many things, because they always have something very appropriate and with lived experience to share. So you can connect more with them. Well, my mum, you have to come meet her in England usually, and come help her out in the garden. With my dad, he has classes on Facebook every Monday. Is it on Mondays?
Every Monday.
Mondays at, what time is it?
It's 7:30 UK time.
7:30 UK time.
BST.
So 7:30 UK time, he does class every Monday live on Facebook, and you can, I think it's a reading, or is it reading or Q&A?
It's an hour and a half reading, half discussions and
Okay.
questions.
So you can join him with that, and lots of other things. Anything else?
Lots. You can
Lots,
find them.
lots of other things, and also a mention, if you have any questions specifically related to difficult things, especially regarding the rites of passage, life and death. My dad is a great person to ask, and also my husband is working in the field of chaplaincy and working in hospice, hospital, and now at a university. So you can send me a message if you want to be in touch with him about anything. I just volunteered him for that. But thank you all once again. Sending lots of love, especially to you, Ratika and Nena. We really pray for both of your fathers, and you know, in one sense, I'm sure you could say that they don't need our prayers. Anyone who has lived a good life and raised wonderful children, they're bound to have many blessings on their journey. But of course, it's wonderful to pray for each other, because out of love and care for each other, it's just a very difficult thing to go through, to lose someone so close in our life, someone who's given us life. So we're praying for you for sure. And we'll see you soon. I can't remember offhand what the next Sanga date is, but it's coming in the next 2 weeks, I'm sure. I'll post it. I'll post it up very soon in the chat. We have to do the hug.
Is
Is that a group hug or is
Group hug. Join our group hug.
individualized?
all of you. It's been so lovely spending time with all of you. Big hug to all of you.
Sometime.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I hope to meet you all someday in person in Kirtan, and yeah.
Yeah, actually, my husband Kula and I, we've been talking about how lovely it would be to host a retreat with our whole family, and you know, my parents and maybe my sister and her kids. They could pretty much just, we don't have to do anything, they'll just entertain everybody and charm everybody. But you know, a lot of the time, I think on a spiritual journey, we want to not only be with others, but I think it makes a big difference to feel like we can be together with family and different generations. So it's something, anyway, we've been thinking about. I didn't talk to them about that yet. Okay. Oh yes, thank you, Narayani. Kripamoy Das Sangha is my dad's Facebook, and that's it for today. Thank you all so much. We're off to Muir Woods. It's a very famous national park in Northern California to see the redwood trees. We will make some prayers there. It's a very sacred place, actually. There's a part of it that's called the cathedral, where everyone's supposed to be quiet, just because the majesty of the trees is so awe-inspiring. And
The trees are old souls, so there's beautiful.
And oh, sorry, we're going way over the time now. But the last thing I wanted to mention is that this Thursday, the first single of the new album that I made is coming out. So it's called Feel, the song, and I think I will give you a preview of it. So please help me to spread the word on Thursday when it comes out. We've got some beautiful artwork and a wonderful animation that's created by an artist from Ukraine called Mary. A music video, and thanks to Vanita, who helped me with the behind the scenes for the music video. Thank you to you all for your contributions and your encouragement and love. And looking forward to sharing the rest of that project. Ratika, her father spoke about Muir Woods often, so we'll definitely say a prayer for him there. Okay, thank you all for your time and lots of love. Have a beautiful rest of the day. I was gonna make it so you can unmute yourself, but I think Naina's the host.
You can ask her to do it.
Yeah, if you can, Naina, if it's easy. Okay, you can unmute yourself if you want to say anything or say goodbye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday, Dee. I have your books. They're in the car already. Look, it's Gopal and Raja.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Gopal. Thank you all.
Nobody wants to leave.
I know.
None of us want to leave.
Everyone wants to hang out. Okay, see you all soon.
Bye. Krishna.
Thank you. Bye. Love you guys. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wait. Oh. Just one. Yeah, mute us.